see.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Kim Jong.
Hi.
Okay, now we're on Facebook now.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my good friends. Welcome to 2022 ABF Online Talks, Passion for Birding. You know, it's always great to see everybody on every Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. We spent 2 weeks in the Philippines. Now we move down south to Malaysia. Our honorable speaker, Mr. Mark Ng, is going to tell us the birding hotspots in Malaysia. Mark is the president of Wildbird Club of Malaysia. He's been birdwatching for 15 years and also been very active on bird conservation. He has been doing raptor count in Tanjung Tuan, Port Dickson, many years. Well, you know, it's really a difficult job to do raptor count. You know, you watch the sky over water for all day long, waiting for the tiny birds, you know, approaching you. It's just, and imagine, you know, it's really hot there. My God. Thank you, Mark, and you have my respect. So we are ready, Mark. And are you ready?
Thank you. I'm ready to just share with you some of the things from Malaysia.
Okay, now the floor is yours.
Thank you. All right. Thank you everyone for joining this session today. This will be the first of 2 sessions, I think, on Malaysia. And basically, I'm going to talk a little bit on the birding hotspots in Malaysia. Sorry about this map, but as you can see where all the stars and spangles are, that's Peninsular Malaysia. And to this one here is East Malaysia, which comprises of 2 states only. That's Sarawak, which is the bigger portion here. This section here is Brunei. And this one here, which is, we call it the dog's ear and the dog's head. This is Sabah, okay? I will start with going through East Malaysia first. Now, let's see. In Malaysia, the environment and the type of surroundings is very diverse. We have coastal mangrove forests. We have parks and shrublands. We have wetlands. We have lowland forests, and we also have sub-montane as well as montane forests. We'll start with mangrove and coastal forests. Examples of mangrove and coastal forests will be like, I know these names will not be familiar to you, but I'll just mention them quickly in case any of you may have been to this place or may be thinking about coming to this place in the near future. They are Kuala Selangor Nature Park, Kuala Sepitang in Perak, Tanjung Piai in Johor, Sekinchan Rice Fields and Peat Forest, Sungai Jeram, Air Hitam Forest Reserve in Pematang, Pau or Penang. Needless to say, this is not an extensive list. This is just an example of the mangrove and coastal forests that you can find. This is an example of the Kuala Selangor Nature Park. This park has got coastal forests as well as a mangrove forest. As you go into the entrance, you will walk through the forest, which our local call it the mosquito gauntlet, because as you go through, mosquitoes will be coming after you like crazy. But it's a place where you can find nice birds like the barred eagle owl, for example, pink-necked green pigeon, yeah. And this is another picture of the Kuala Selangor Nature Park with its observation tower overlooking a pond here. Sometimes get dried up because this is actually a pond that is tidal, or it depends on the tides that's in the ocean, which is only about half a kilometer away from there. Yeah. Okay. in this mangrove and coastal forest, these are some examples of the type of birds that you can see. Like, for example, the large-tailed nightjar has been seen nesting on the ground in Kuala Selangor Nature Park. You can be walking along the path, and suddenly you come across this bird because they are so camouflaged you don't see them, and they will just fly off right in front of you. Of course, we have this very noisy little bird here called the rufous tail. No, this is the ash-tailed bird, and it's a mangrove specialty. We have the mangrove whistler, beautiful whistling bird, and of course the Java myna. A good story about the Java myna is that it is actually an import. It is a stronger survivor, a much better adapter to the environment, and is pushing our local common miner out of the picture. So the common miner is getting less and less, whereas this Java miner is getting more and more established in Malaysia. Yeah. Second thing we want to talk a little bit about is parks and shrublands. A very good area that has got fantastic shrubland and grassland is Pulau Indah, which is very near Kuala Lumpur. So for any of you that is coming over to Malaysia, it's only a short hop, maybe about an hour's drive from Kuala Lumpur, and you come to this part where you see lots of birds there. The very famous Taiping Lake Gardens, which is one of the best well manicured garden, but it is so close to a forest reserve that you can see birds coming into the garden itself. And of course, within Kuala Lumpur itself, we have Taman Tasik Perdana, which is the lake gardens in Kuala Lumpur. If you have a shop stop in Kuala Lumpur for a day or two, this is a place that you can go and you can see about 30 to 40 species of bird there. So in this kind of areas, for example, this is a Taiping Lake Garden. And here is part of the central range of Malaysia. Maxwell Hill or Bukit Laurut is just above here, very close to Taiping Lake Gardens. And the Taiping Zoo is also within this garden complex itself. And you can see things like great hornbill coming to the gardens. Yeah. And this is an example of the Kuala Lumpur Lake Gardens. It is well manicured, but there is also a lot of trees around, and sometimes during fruiting season, especially with the ficus tree, you see lots and lots of birds around. Yeah, so it's another good place, a very nice short stop if you have a very limited time in Kuala Lumpur. So some of the birds you can see in parks and shrublands are, for example, crested goshawk. This is quite commonly seen now even in residential areas in Kuala Lumpur, like for example in Subang. This picture is actually from Andy, and you can see this in Andy's house. Not inside the house, but just outside above his gate. You get this orange-bellied flowerpecker. You get a pink-necked green pigeon. Of course, this one everybody knows is the Pacific swallow. Yeah. Okay. Another area that we can talk about is the wetlands. There are many, many wetlands in Malaysia. I just picked up two, for example. One of them is called the Putrajaya wetland, which is found in our administrative capital of Malaysia, which is Putrajaya. The other one is the Forest Research Institute of Malaysia. They have a wetland area in Bidor in the state of Perak. This is about 2.5 hour drive from Kuala Lumpur. Of course, being typical of a wetland, there will be many, many lakes around that area. Some of the lakes are too deep for bird life or aviflora, but some of the lakes have got fairly shallow side of the lakes with lots of vegetation growing, and this is where you can see some of the water birds in the wetland area. This is example of a Putrajaya wetland. You can see it is very well developed. Of course, this lake is not good for aviflora because it's a fairly deep lake. But at the sides of it, where there are some grasslands and you can see more birds, you can see birds in the wooded area of this wetland. And they've also built some observation decks and towers for you to look around. This you see scenery, but occasionally you see some nice birds flying by. You get malcohas, you got your black-naped oriole. This may be very common birds in Malaysia, but may be interesting for those who are visiting Malaysia. Yeah? So these are some of the birds that we can see in wetlands. For example, this one here, this is gray-headed swamp hen, and this one is found in Frim. As you can see, there's a lot of vegetation that is growing around the lake, and you will see families of these birds around. You can see young ones, chicks, and all those. Yeah, and you can also see the Catholic red. This one is in blooming plumage. You can see the lovely orange plumes, feathers in this particular bird. And of course, this tiny little bird, but it's a songbird with a very nice call and a very loud call, the golden-bellied jaragoni. So this will be, you will see them flying around in the rain tree, up in the top canopy, and they are quite trusting in that sense. Then we have lowland forest areas. Lowland forest, I'm not sure if many of you have been to Taman Negara Pahang. This is one of the oldest forests in the world. Then we have the Royal Belum State Park and the Temenggong Forest State Park. This is an area that has got a huge lake, a reservoir. And this is the area where Andrew carries out the hornbill survey on an annual basis, but has been stopped for a while due to the pandemic. We have also got Sedim Forest Reserve in Kedah, Canyon Lake in Terengganu, Panti Forest in Johor. I'm just picking up a few places to show that throughout the whole of Peninsula, you can find birding hotspots. And the thing about the birding hotspots here now is, especially when it's a forest reserve, a permit needs to be applied via our Perhilitan or the forestry department. And it's minimal. It's not a very expensive permit, but you just have to go through the hassle of applying for the permit about a day or two before you go into the forest. Because if you go into the forest and if any ranger come across and see that you don't have a permit, you might have some problems. Yeah. So nowadays, all forest reserve, you need to apply for a permit to go in there. Yeah. So lowland forest, you can see this one here. There's a river that runs through this forest. Yeah. It's a riverine forest, and when we do birding, like for example here at Taman Negara, we actually go in a boat. This is in Kuala Tahan. This is the place where we first arrive when we go to Taman Negara. Of course, I'm showing you Kuala Tahan because this is the most common area where tourists and birders come in to Taman Negara, which is the National Forest of Malaysia. And one of the resorts is here where you need to take a boat across the river and stay in this forest. In this on this side here is a village, and there are also many homestays and smaller resorts in this area. Okay, and we will bird in the different trails that get off from the river into the jungle. We will take a boat from, say, here, go up river or down river to whichever trail that we pick to go along. And the boatman will drop you at the entrance of the trail, and then you walk through the trail with a guide. And look, this is example of what the forest will look like with a trail like this and the river that's here. Okay. Another picture of the forest, you can see that Malaysian forests are fairly dense and a lot of undergrowth. So you will get a mixture of birds that are on the canopy, mid-story, as well as in the shrubs. There will be birds that are skulking around, like the babblers, and also some of the babblers that skulks around at the bottom, like the real babbler, for example. And it sometimes is a challenge, but then when you get to see the bird that you are targeting for, I'm sure all of you know how happy you become when you see the birds that you want to see. Some examples of lowland forest birds. This is the blue-winged leopard. This is a male, right? This is one of his favorite flowers that he goes to eat, feed on. This is the black and yellow broadbill. Yeah. The crested fireback, which is not that difficult to see. Quite a lot of people can see this in Taman Negara. And then we have the finches bulbul, a forest bird, a beautiful bird. And of course, this one here, which can you see this bird? Or is it blocked? Anyway, this is the goose frogmouth, yeah, and it's also present in lowland forest. An example, a good area that you can go and see this bird will be in Bukit Ringgit. Yeah, this bird was taken in Bukit Ringgit actually. Okay, lowland forest, be prepared because the temperature can be very high, humidity can be very high, and the moment you step into the forest, you will be soaked in perspiration because it's really testing you. But like all of us birder, it doesn't matter if we are all wet, as long as we get to see the bird and get to capture the bird in lovely photographs and whatever media that you want to use. Okay. Now, the other thing that is interesting to go to watch birds will be the sub-montane forest as well as the montane forest. There are quite a few hill stations in Malaysia. And of course, one of the most famous one, which is known to many people, is Fraser's Hill in Pahang. There is an annual bird race that's held in Pahang over 2 days. I think the next one is coming up in July, if I'm not mistaken. Right. The other hill stations would be Bukit Larut, previously known as Maxwell Hill, and this is in Perak. Of course, we have Cameron Highlands in Pahang. Cameron Highlands is a very commercial highland station, lots of vegetable farms, but at the edge of the vegetable farms, there will be forested areas. And then right on top of one of the highest mountain in around the Cameron Highlands area will be the Mozzie Forest. Interesting areas to go and have a visit. Of course, there is Berjaya Hills in Pahang, which is very near Genting Highlands, where one of the endemics can be found there, right, which is the Malayan hill partridge. And Genting Highlands itself, the area around Genting Highlands nowadays is a little bit more restricted. We need to have a guide and we need to apply to get in to see some of the birds in this area. Just to show you some pictures of the different highland stations, hill stations that we have in Malaysia. This is Fraser's Hill. These are accommodations that you can find in Fraser's. This is Fraser's Pine, and I believe they were under a new management since last year, and they have made some improvement to this area. Just in this compound itself, it's a lovely birding area. You don't have to walk far. And the thing about Fraser's Hill is that you can walk for miles without breaking out in perspiration because it's a very nice, cool resort. And you get lots of bird waves coming in that creates an interest that attracts people to go up to Fraser's Hill for bird watching. Yeah. This is Cameron Highlands. Of course, Cameron Highlands is famous for their tea plantations. You won't see much birds here, but there are forests around. And this is where the Mozzie Forest is. This is on top of one of the top hills. Interesting birds that you can find here. I'll show you some of the birds that you can find in hill stations. Bukit Larut or Maxwell Hill is quite misty. The interesting thing about Bukit Larut is that you can't drive up there. The road is too narrow and too steep. You need to park your car at the base and hire or pay for transport. They will take you up in Land Rovers. And you must have a strong heart to go up in those Land Rovers because the way they drive around the bends, you can hear people screaming, here, there, like, thinking that, it's going to go off the ravine or something like that. But it's an interesting ride up. And as you go up and as you come down, you can see there are actually people trekking up. You can also see birds off the road, down the ravine or up in the hill. And there are many bungalows located around the hill, and they offer accommodation. So you book your accommodation prior to going there, and some of the accommodation even have chefs in the bungalow itself, and they will cook the meal for you. So all you need to do is just go there, check in, get ready to do your bird watching, put on your leash socks, and just walk around the whole area. Yeah. This is Berjaya Hill. This is more manicured. It's a very commercial hill station, but you have lovely birds that come around all these trees. You have got, for example, the orange-breasted trogon, or even the silver-breasted broadbill. Okay, these are two of the more common birds that you see there. Okay, in sub-montane and montane forests, you will get things like this black brow barbet. You can see this is a fruiting ficus tree. This tree is in Berjaya Hills, and when this tree was in full fruit, there were actually 6 different barbets there. It's a photographer's haven. Well, it's really wonderful. You can see 6 different barbets, and they are within 5 to 10 meters from you, and very trusting because they're so engrossed in looking and eating on the fruits. Yeah. Another resident of submontane will be this black-crested bulbul. A beautiful bird, very small but very vibrant in the color. This is only found on hill stations. This is the black-throated sunbird. You can see as with all sunbirds, their feather tend to be, there's sheen on the feather where it changes color slightly whenever there's the sun on the feather. Depending on the angle that the sun hits the feather, you can see different coloration. This one is, I have yet to see this bird. This is a chestnut-backed Shimita babla. Big bird, difficult to sight, but when you sight it, it's really a wonder. Another very good bird that you try to sight, this is one of the diurnal owl, right? It's a collared owlet, and usually you can hear them in the daytime calling away, and sometimes they can be in a tree directly in front of you, and you can spend half an hour looking at the tree and you can't find the owl. It's so tiny, but it's so cute. It's a really nice owl to see. Okay. Now, apart from those few habitats that I talk about, I want to just spend a little bit of time on paddy fields. Reason why, because paddy field also provides a venue for you to look for some specialty birds, and it also depends on which season, whether it's a planting season or ripening season, you get some different type of birds there. Okay, examples of paddy fields will be the Sekinchan paddy field in Selangor, Ulu Dedap in Perak, and there's a paddy field area in Pekan, Pahang, right, that has been very promising with water birds. So this is what paddy fields look like for those who may not have seen them yet. When they are freshly planted, the paddy plant gives you a very beautiful green. And if you stand in the middle of paddy field, all around you 360 degrees, you can see this green color. And at this time, paddy fields will be flooded. There will be a lot of water in the paddy field during this period. And this is when you will find water birds. They will be hunting around the paddy field looking for small fishes, for frogs, and other insects, yeah, as to feed on. This one is showing the paddy that is ripening. Again, it is a beautiful sight because instead of green, now the whole area will turn yellow. Yeah, and During this time, it's quite difficult to spot the birds because this paddy is already quite tall, and the birds will be scouting around in here. You will see the taller birds like your gray heron and your purple heron. But you can see this vehicle here. This is the combine harvester, which is used to harvest the paddy. What they do is they drive this along, and it will cut up the paddy and thresh it at the same time and bag the paddy. But a lot of the paddy would have fallen loose on the ground. And this is when it attracts birds to come in to feed on the loose paddy that's on the ground. You will have flocks and flocks of little egret or cattle, even cattle egret. You will have flocks of Asian openbill. Asian openbill is a phenomenon occurring in Malaysia in the last few years. Initially, it was only seen in the northern states of Peninsular Malaysia, but they have now migrated southwards down to the state of Perak, Selangor, and even in Malacca. And sometimes you will see 300, 400 birds tumbling in the sky. Initially, when the Asian openbill came and they start to roost around paddy field areas, the farmers were very worried because these birds are quite big, right? And they were very worried that these birds will damage the crop. But what actually happened is, in the paddy field, there's a large population of golden apple snails. And this is a particular food that the Asian openbill comes for. And the bill is open like this, so it fits the apple snail very well and cracks the snail and take the meat, okay? So we went around educating the farmers that these birds are actually helping you because they get rid of your the snails that is infesting your paddy field. So after going through with them for nearly 2 or 3 years, they start to relent. They start to say, okay, they start to believe that these birds are actually helping them rather than damaging the paddy field. This is one of the small success story we can talk about in terms of conservation of birds, because we managed to convince the farmers that these birds don't harm the paddy. Okay. In paddy fields, you get to see things like bitterns. We have got cinnamon beeton, one shanks beeton, yellow beeton. Occasionally, you'll see another beeton. I can't remember the name for now. Sorry. The other thing, of course, we can see are raptors. This is a black-shouldered kite, or another name for it is black-winged kite. This little fella has got a field mouse. You can see the field mouse in its talent. And that's why you can see these birds. They are flying around the paddy field, and they will be hovering above the paddy field with their wing just flapping like this and looking around for rodents. And suddenly you see them just break the hover and drop into the ground. Next thing you know, they come up with a mouse in their talon. Other birds that you can see around paddy fields will be this. For example, this is a gray heron, and like I said, these are very tall birds. So even when the paddy is very tall, you can see the head of this bird. Okay, at the edge of the paddy field will be peat forest, especially in Sekinchan. At the edge will be peat forest, and in peat forest you can actually see things like a white-bellied sea eagle nesting. You can see buffy fish owl, cuckoo. So there is another different sort of birds that you can see at the edge here. So it's an interesting area to go and visit because you get to see two different habitats in one area. Another habitat that just to cover a little bit is the caves. There are many caves in Malaysia and some cliffs. Okay. Just give you two examples will be Keloktong Cave in Perak. This is a temple actually, a Chinese temple that is built into the cave. And Gua Bama, Gua is a Malay word for cave as well, in Pahang. And this has got lovely cliff where you can see your fountains and your streets and whatnot. This is cave temple where you go in, as you come, the entrance is actually on the other side, and this is like a tunnel, and the temple is built inside this tunnel. As you come out of the temple, you come into this garden. This is where you stand in the temple looking into the garden. Yeah. So if you stand here, look out, you will see this. And in this pond, sometimes it will be filled with lotus, and you will see plaintive cuckoo. You will see blue rock thrush, for example. Yeah. And I'll go through some of the birds that you see here. This is guabama. This is a closer view of guabama, which is cliff-like. And here, there's one particular bird that cannot be found in many places in Malaysia, but this is one of the places that you can find, and that is this one here, the dusky crepe martin. All right, easily identified with these white marks on the tail. Of course, when I say easily, you cannot see in flight because you always look at it from the bottom. All right. The other cave dwellers that you can see are the blue rock thrush. And of course, this one here, the blue whistling thrush. Okay. So this is are the type of the birds that you can find in paddy fields as well as in cliffs and in cave environment. I'm going now eastwards. East Malaysia is made up of Sabah and Sarawak. Okay. And there are also many interesting birding sites in Sabah. I'm only naming a few. They are Kinabalu, which I think most people would have heard, Kinabalu National Park. Pouring Hot Springs, which is next to Kinabalu National Park. Sepilok, or the RDC Rainforest Development Center in Sepilok, where the Orang Utan Rehab Center is also in Sepilok. And next to it will be the Kina Batangan River Forest System. Across the other side of Sabah, you would have Danong Valley. And around Sabah, they have a lot of islands. One of them is Mentanani Island, which is an excellent spot to go to if you are looking for unusual birds that you don't normally see in Malaysia. These birds are the ones that lost their way or get blown off course during migration period. Okay. So you can see here, Kinabalu Park is a very lush forest around the area. But of course, the top is about over 4,000 meters high, and you won't see much trees up there. It's just basically rocks. Yeah? But below here in the area below 4,000 meters, maybe about 3,005 like that, there's a wonderful forest here and lots of birds that you can see. In Sabah and Sarawak, there are about 40 endemics, whereas in Peninsular Malaysia, there are only 4 endemics. Okay. Danong Valley, again, Danong, as the name denotes, the valley, it's got the river that runs through it. Yeah. Again, this is a lowland forest reserve, so it's hot, it's humid, but wonderful bird life. This is RDC, which is the Rainforest Development Center in Sepilok. It has got one of the longest walkway or boardwalk or canopy walk, very stable and interesting to just walk along here looking for special birds. One of the special birds, of course, is the Bonian bristlehead. And I have a friend who come here every year, and he spent 10 days just walking along this boardwalk. There's, of course, the bird variety is so good. Yeah. This is another picture of the river valley in Danong. Yeah. Very nice, pristine forest. Lots of trails. Of course, you go in with guide. Accommodation-wise, it can be from very basic to very luxurious. So it depends on what you want in your travel. Examples of birds found in Sabah, of course, it's numerous. I mean, in Malaysia, there is 795 birds species. I only show you what 0.5% of all the birds. The other ones are they will take the whole day. Yeah. This is, for example, the crimson-headed partridge. You can see this in Kinabalu Park. Because the others that we go to Sabah to see are the whiteheads. We have the whitehead broadbill, the whitehead trogon. We also have the whitehead spider hunter. Right. So these are beautiful birds that we go to Sabah to see. Then we have Sarawak. Sorry, this should be Sarawak. There are, to name a few of the national park in Sarawak, you have Kuba National Park, which is a lowland forest. Borneo Highlands, of course, Highland is a mountain forest, sub-mountain forest, and mountain forest. Baku National Park, Baku Buntau Bay, which is coastal, mangrove, and coastal forest. Miri Lambi Hills National Park. This is just about 3 hours out of Kuching. Okay. Okay, this is what the national parks in Sarawak looks like. This is Kuba National Park. Kuba National Park has got very well developed, very tall trees. So one of the, of course, disadvantage would be the birds are all in the canopy. You probably end up with a sore neck at the end of the day, but then you will get to see some of the birds there. It's well worth it. This is the waterfall that's found in Lambe Hills, and this is the boardwalk that you, the canopy walk of the suspension bridge that you can see in Lambe Hills. And interesting walk because this is where I saw my Bonian Bristol head. I think most people when they go to Sabah or Sarawak, they will look out for this bird. Yeah. This is Borneo Highlands, Borneo Highland Resort. So again, you can stay in this resort and for a few days and you can move around from this accommodation area. There's a drive that takes you about 5 kilometers up further up to the hill, and you can see lots of birds here. And one of the beautiful birds, one of the birds that I always look forward to seeing in Borneo Highland Resort is the mountain hawk eagle. This is Bakubun Town. It's like you can see here, it's a bay and it's a coastal rainforest, coastal forest, and you can see lots of water birds and you can see some coastal forest birds. Right? Examples, in Sarawak, you can quite easily see Chinese egret. In Peninsular Malaysia, quite difficult. Very few places that have this bird, and if you see them, there are only one or two. Whereas in Kuching, in Bako Buntao, sometimes you can see 20, 30 of them. Because in the forest, you can see this greater racket-tail, jongo, and this cute little fella here with hardly any tail. This is the Rufus piculate, which is one of the woodpecker family. Okay, this is in Sarawak. I think I've gone through most of the things that I want to, most of the areas that I want to highlight to you with some of the birds that can be found in some of these areas. Okay. And I would like to say thank you very much to ABF for giving the opportunity to showcase Malaysia as a bird watching destination. Photo credits, of course, here are the people that have taken the photos from them to put into this slide presentation. Okay, this is the end of my brief introduction to Malaysia. And if any of you have any questions, open to that. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Very informative. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yep. Now you may stop sharing. Now you can see everybody.
Shall I stop the sharing?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
So, if anyone of you has question, just speak. See the option on the bottom. Share screen. You know where you started. Right down there. Okay. If anyone has questions, just let us know.
I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
for weather-wise, what's the best times of year to bird watching in Malaysia?
Okay. Malaysia is hot all year round. The only difference is there's dry and wet season. Towards the end of the year, that means November to January, February is the wet season, but cooler months. They may be wet season, but they're cooler months. When I say cooler, it may be 2 or 3 degrees difference. That's it. But it depends on what you want to see. If you want to see migrant birds that come through Malaysia or even overwinter in Malaysia, it will be between September and April. But if you want to see local birds, of course, it's any time of the year. But May, June, July are good periods because they are the breeding season. Birds are more active. Of course, they are active building nets, active looking for mates, and active looking after the young ones. Yeah. So May, June, July are good times to come. So, but for example, I'm doing raptor count. Good season for raptor count is for me February, March, April, when the birds are migrating back north, or during that's called the spring migration, or during September when they're coming back south. Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Right. Hello, Andy. Andy is the former president of Weber Club of Malaysia. Hi, Andy.
Andy?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah. Do you have you want to say anything?
Oh, Mark has said everything. But if any one of you interested to come to Malaysia, do contact us. We are not bird guides. We are just fellow birders. So if you need help, contact Mark. We'll be around.
Yeah.
If you have time, we can show you around. If not,
when Andy mentioned us, he meant Wild Bird Club Malaysia.
yeah, I'm sorry. Wild Bird Club Malaysia.
Okay. Does Nani have a question asking whether Rufus piculate is found in Peninsular Malaysia? Yes, Asnani, they are definitely in Peninsular Malaysia. Go look for them. Yeah. Sorry, Andy.
No problem.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark, you can stop sharing your file.
Yep.
Right. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Mike, do we have any questions from Facebook? Okay. If no questions so far, let's take the group photo first. All right. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, please. Yes.
Hi, Philip.
Okay. Jenny. Hello, Jenny. And Samson, Catherine. Hello. Hello, Deb.
Hello.
Okay, thank you, hello. And Jenny. Hello, Jenny. And Samson. Yep. We'll take two group photos because there's so many people. So let's take the first one, right? Please look at the camera, smile, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is the first group photo. Let's take the second one. Yep. And hello, Casey and Lay. Hello. Kusum, you're a little bit, turn your camera up right. Hello, Kusum. No, you're upside down. Hello, Catherine. And Casey, hello. Lay. Okay, so look at the camera. Let's take the second one. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's move on. Any question, any comments? Or I know there are so many friends from Weber Club of Malaysia. Maybe you want to say something more?
Yeah, Mark. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Kusum.
Go ahead, yes.
Yeah. Mark, can you tell me how to get permits to enter Royal Balloon State Park?
Royal Bloom State Park. I think that will be under the jurisdiction of the Perak Forestry Department. Yeah. And those forestry department usually have local officers nearer to the site where you can go in to apply. But here, maybe Andrew will be have a better or more up-to-date information because he goes there quite regularly.
Yeah.
Andrew, can you help out?
Yes. So the forestry department is in the south, in Temenggong Lake, which is just next to Royal Bloom. To enter into the state park itself, you have to buy a permit at the Royal Bloom State Park office, which is on the Pulau Banding itself. Yeah, remember where the houseboats are parked? There's a ticketing counter over there. You can book your boat. You can pay for your entry and the permits from there. Now, and if you want to go further south, as Mark said, then you have to get permit from the forestry department. Yeah, but if you go to the Pulau Banding jetty where the ticketing office is, you can also ask them for help now to go south as well. Yeah.
Earlier, was it in Garrick? You have to apply for the permit?
No, not Greek. It's in Pulau Banding. Pulau Banding is where we launch the houseboats. It's the beautiful jetty on by the lakeside itself.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew.
I can send you the more information by I'll DM you. Yeah.
Okay. I will contact you. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Kusum.
Okay.
Thank you. And I know Andrew's been working on balloon for many years. Andrew, would you like to say something about balloon? Hello, Andrew.
Oh yes. As Mark said, this is a wonderful place to target actually hornbills, especially in the months of July till about October now. Yeah, so it's past Mark, plus minus a month now. Mark, people have been seeing the plain pouch hornbills also much later. Yeah. So Royal Bloom State Park. There's a hornbill expedition coming up in August. Those who'd like to have more information can contact Mark or myself. But yes, Royal Bloom State Park is a wonderful place, and a boat trip to Malaysia should include Royal Bloom State Park as one of the itineraries. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks again, Mark.
Just to add on, there are actually 10 species of hornbill found in Royal Bloom State Park. 10 species. That means all the hornbills that are found in Malaysia are found there. And I remember one of the expeditions we went on, we actually saw 9 species in one day. So it's an excellent place to go to sight hornbills.
That's a me that we have seen together, 90 species. Remember, Mark?
Correct, gentlemen.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a gentleman. Andrew, Mark, remember that was it 2013? It was 2013, right?
The first one, the first expedition.
The first one. Yes, excellent, excellent.
Yeah, love to come back there. Just general questions. There's a Henry has sent us a message regarding was it that international bird race or something going on Fraser Hill?
Yeah.
Right? Is that true? Fraser Hills?
Yes, it's in Fraser's Hill. It's
So
on
I think
June or July. I can send you some more information.
July 24th and 25th or something like that.
Yep.
You mean this year?
Yes.
Okay.
23rd, July 23rd.
23rd to 25th.
Okay.
How do you know that? Are you invited?
I get a mail. No. It's SNS.
Okay.
Yes, messengers. Yeah, SNS.
Yeah, from Henry.
Henry.
Yes.
From Henry Go. Yes.
Henry.
There we go. Oh, that'd be nice. Because
Andrea sent me an invitation also for the bird race.
Yeah.
July 23rd to July 25th.
And I think we have to be there on 22nd of July. That's what he mentioned about.
Yeah.
So will you be there? Some of you will be there, or what's the plan? Any of you are going to be there?
Probably.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I know there's no restriction.
Rajendra, it depends. If you are there, I'll be there. If you are not, I won't be there. I will form a team to compete with you.
Oh, I love to come there, but I have to see because I'm also traveling in the UK in September, so I have to see my wallet.
Ask Henry. Henry Go invited you. You ask you.
Well,
To sponsor you.
He may sponsor for 2 days stay in Fraser Hills, but not sure.
Yeah, this is one of the two series of birding in Malaysia. And next week, Andrew will tell us more about the Fraser's Hill. And I know he has invited two of his good friends with him, to tell us all the stories. So, Andrew, would you like to give us a little briefing about what we're going to talk about next week?
Yes. So next week we're going to change the format just a little bit. Instead of one person talking, I'm organizing a little forum, a round table with me, and of course local superstar Mr. Dorai, KS Dorai.
Mr. July.
From Fraser Hill. Yeah, lives in Fraser Hill. And Mr. Chong Weng Chun, Malaysian birder. Yeah, so the 3 hours will be sitting around a fireplace in Fraser Hill live, and we'll be presenting from there. And it's going to be a question and answer format, and we're going to change it up a little bit. Okay, so don't forget, join us next week.
Thank you, boss.
Wait, Andrew, you're going to do it live in Fraser's Hill.
Yeah, becoming live from Fraser Hill.
You're gonna show us some. You're gonna show us some night birds as well. Some of the
We'll try. The signal there is quite bad, so where be possible, we will try to do it outdoor. So at least you get to hear the sounds. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, if there's no, Mike, are there any questions from Facebook? No. Which means, Mark has done a great presentation. Everybody, got all the information. So, thank you, Mark, again.
Thank you.
For sharing your best, for sharing birding hotspots in Malaysia. So, we look forward to see everybody next week.
Sure.
For Andrew's good talk. Okay? Right?
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Good night.
Good night. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you,
Friday.
Maya, Mike.
Thank you. Bye. Goodbye.